call the special meeting to order. Deputy Chief Martin, would you give the invocation?
Heavenly Father, we call upon you today as the God of Jacob, the God of Moses, the God of Mary, and the God of David. You're the same God today that you were back then. But in this moment, we ask you to be just as present in our lives as you were in theirs. We ask that you would watch over and comfort those who are struggling in our community. And likewise, I ask, Father, that you reveal where opportunity lies for us to do your work in their lives so that they can see your love and your power to answer prayer through us, your earthly vessels. I ask you to bless each and every person here today, Father, so that your will is accomplished through them. We know through you all things are possible. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Chief Hopkins, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
Yes, Your Honor. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk will call the roll.
Taylor.
Present.
Peterson.
Present.
Lease. Heckmaster.
Present.
Edge.
Present.
Snow.
Here.
Barlow.
Here.
Cossey.
Here.
Schramm.
Present.
All right. Do we have minutes from the previous meeting? Right? Okay. We'll skip that and go right on to new business. But before we do that, I'm going to ask the Mayor Pro Tem to come up and take over the meeting from here so that just since most of this is going to be about me, I figured it'd be more clean if Mr. Snow took over. So.
There.
Yeah. Feel that.
First item on the agenda under new business is discussion regarding the hiring of a hearing officer.
Mr. Snow, I would like to make a motion that we consider that with the resolution, because if the resolution doesn't pass, then it's unnecessary to hire a hearing officer.
I have a motion to move the hiring of a hearing officer to be included with the resolution.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
So under resolutions, resolution 2042, a resolution concerning the removal of Dan Rife from the office of mayor of the city of Carthage.
So, Mr. Snow, we have a special general counsel who is appointed to assist us with this. At this time, I would like to ask if he might be able to speak.
Yes.
Thank you all. Thanks, Miranda. Thank you all. It's a pleasure to be here. It's my first time in your town, and it's a very nice town. I've enjoyed my short time here already. I realize this is a difficult time for the city, and I want to talk a little bit about myself so you know who I am. And I also want to talk a little bit about what this resolution does. And then I would also like to talk about the substitute resolution that I am recommending that the council pass or substitute in lieu of the resolution that's on your agenda. And I'll explain my reasoning for that as well, okay? All right, I'm Paul Martin. I am a sole practitioner in the city of St. Louis. I've represented cities and local governments and fire districts in primarily in the St. Louis County metropolitan area, St. Louis metropolitan area, for 30-plus years. I've been special counsel to a number of cities. I can't remember all the issues I've covered. I have been involved with impeachment proceedings several times. I think this is my 8th time. Never gets any easier. So if everybody please keeps that in mind, that it's a difficult time, and hopefully we'll get through it. Now, the resolution that's before you right now on the agenda really gets the removal process started, and it authorizes moving forward with an impeachment hearing, and it provides the processes for that hearing so that everybody is aware of how it works and everybody is aware of the rules, and allows the mayor especially to be ensured due process in this process. The resolution also approves a hearing examiner, and it provides notices of the charges. Now, that's the general part about the resolution. I'd like to talk a little bit about the substitute resolution, which I sent out this morning. I believe everybody has it. Ms. Kosi has several copies of it in front of her if any members of the public wants one, or if anybody on the board needs a copy, please let us know. And I'm going to walk you through what this substitute resolution is about before I ask you to go ahead and make that change. Yesterday, a lawyer emailed me. It was Nathan Nicholas of the Lauber Municipal Firm, and he was claiming to be the city's special counsel. He gave me his opinion on the possible suspension of the mayor pending the impeachment proceedings, and it was his position, frankly, that that would be a mistake, that would be unlawful. Now, lawyers have different opinions about things all the time, and I suggest that it is not crystal clear whether that's lawful or not, and I acknowledge that. I believe that it is. However, one of the things that Nathan stressed was, why go through a suspension process? Why suspend the mayor when he can then go to court, and then you're involved in a distraction, another piece of litigation that takes away from the reason why we're here? And I thought that was a pretty good observation. So what I've done with the substitute resolution is, I don't know if you have the original with you, but unfortunately there are 2 sections 4. And the second section 4 was the section that provided for the suspension of the mayor. And I'm advising you now and recommending to you now that you substitute this resolution that I've submitted earlier today in lieu of the existing resolution, and we take that out so that we do not have that issue. I think it's a smart thing to do. I do think we'd prevail if it was challenged, but you get into court, you don't know what's going to happen. It takes a long time, it takes a lot of money. If you take it off the table, then you don't have to worry about it. And I think this is especially true if you set a hearing date that isn't too far into the future, right? So if you're concerned about things that might happen while the mayor is still the mayor pending the impeachment proceeding, then I think that reduces any possibility of harm if you have a hearing date that's sooner rather than later. And I would tell you that it's all about me. I'm going to be leaving on vacation on June 13th, and I'm not going to be coming back until July 5th or 6th, I think. So I'm going to be gone quite a little while. And I want you to know that, because if we start talking about a hearing date, you'll be aware. Now, the substitute bill of impeachment, which I also set out, adds a new paragraph 10. And After Mr. Nicholas called me, or emailed me yesterday, I asked him specifically what authority did he have for getting involved in this? Why was he emailing me? And he said, yes, I'm the special counsel. And I said, well, your firm was terminated by the city council back in April, if I recall correctly. And he said, yes, I've got a new agreement. I asked Miranda for that agreement, and the mayor signed that agreement on May 15th. Now, the problem with that is, in one of the current charges, is that cities can't enter into contracts without board approval, without council approval. So that's a violation of section 432.070 of the revised statutes of Missouri, and that has been added as new paragraph 10. So with that, I think it's appropriate if the council, please, if anybody has any questions, don't hesitate to ask. But if everybody's comfortable, I think it's appropriate that the council amend the existing resolution 2042 by taking that off the table and putting in front of the council the substitute resolution number 2042 and the substitute bill of impeachment that has already been provided to you.
I have a question, sir. I was told by 2 different law firms that you can take stuff off an agenda, but you cannot add that. That is a violation of the Sunshine Law.
You're asking me for my legal opinion on that?
Well, I mean, you're the legal counsel here.
It's absolutely wrong.
Well,
State law
then the
says
same guy that you just quoted is wrong then.
State law says that you have to have a tentative agenda, and you can amend that agenda at any time.
Okay, feel free to do whatever you want. You're gonna do it anyway.
I would entertain a motion to substitute Resolution 2042.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second to replace Resolution 2042 that was presented in our packet with Resolution 2042 that was just provided. Any discussion?
Just a quick note to address something that Mr. Taylor said. I'm not sure if your question is regarding, if you're thinking that the substitution is a new agenda item. Is that what you're asking, Mr. Taylor?
What you're doing is taking the agenda and making it different than it was before. And if you add something, it has to be 24 hours notice. You can take stuff off.
Okay, so just,
Obviously, I'm not a lawyer and you're gonna argue that case. All I'm doing is giving you what my legal counsel has told me, so what you're doing is telling them that they're wrong.
well, so just as a point of clarification, and we have other attorneys in the room, so please correct me if my understanding of this is incorrect, but we're not actually adding a new agenda item. By providing a printed copy of the substitution, we're just giving people written notice. We would have the ability to look at the item as originally presented and then suggest amendments to it. So we're not really doing anything different than making those suggested amendments. It's just that we're providing it to people in printed form. And again, please correct me if that's not a correct understanding.
No, you're
I also have another question, sir,
yes, sir.
being as you are the legal counsel for us. If this is voted on, being the context of this resolution involves 2 members of this council, would they not have to abstain from voting?
Today?
Yes, sir.
No, this is a procedural motion to decide whether to move forward. I do not see the need for anybody to abstain.
Okay.
I don't see any conflicts of interest with that.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carried.
Okay, now I'd like to talk a little bit about the substitute resolution. And although it is set out in the substitute resolution, and I don't want to go ahead and repeat everything that's in it, we've got a lot of people from the public here today, and I think it's important that everybody understands the process. What the resolution does is it also adopts a bill of impeachment. The bill of impeachment,
Can you speak louder? I don't think they can hear you in the back.
I certainly can try. I'll try to get a little closer to the mic. What the substitute resolution does is adopts a substitute bill of impeachment, and that document provides the mayor with notice of the charges that are filed against him. And that notice provides him the opportunity to prepare a defense at the hearing that we're going to have. So that's why the bill of impeachment is important. Now, at that hearing, this is a trial type hearing. Evidence is presented. People can, the mayor is entitled to a lawyer as he has one right now. And you can object to the introduction of evidence. You can object to testimony. You can cross-examine witnesses. It's just like a trial. The hearing officer that I'm recommending, Mr. Engelmeyer, is there to keep the process fair, because it's going to be my job to prosecute the mayor. It's going to be the mayor's lawyer's job to defend him. And you've got two lawyers going head to head. So we need somebody independent to make decisions about, what testimony is allowed, what objection should be sustained or overruled, and what the process should be. And that's what the purpose of the hearing officer is. Mr. Engelmeyer has had, I've had personal experience with Mr. Engelmeyer in one case, and I know he's had several removal cases that he's been involved in. He's a 20-plus year municipal judge, so he has a lot of experience in that, and I think he would do a great job. So everybody wants to know how long is the hearing going to take. I have no idea. Hopefully we'll get it done within a few hours. If not, or even if people get tired, we may need to have a continuance. You can continue it until the next day, or you can continue it to a week or 2 or 3 down the road, just depending on what schedules are and what makes sense. And while that's kind of a procedural question, it's really going to come down to all of you and your timing and your schedules, and hopefully you can find a date that's going to work, that's not too far in the future. The hearing testimony, everything at the hearing is going to be recorded. We're going to have a court reporter who takes down the testimony, and the reason for that is what we're doing is we're preparing a record. And the reason for the record is if there is an appeal from the decision of this council, it goes to the Jasper County Circuit Court. The judge over there is going to have to look at all the evidence and review the record and the transcript of the hearing and decide whether the process took place in a legal manner and whether the result is an accurate and legal one. So that's why it's important to have the hearing officer, the court reporter, and that record. After the conclusion of the hearing, the council votes, and depending on what the first question is, the council votes on whether the charges have been vindicated, whether the charges have been proved, all right? The second part of that is whether, what should you do with the mayor if the charges are proved? And that can be removal. I suppose it could be some kind of reprimand, or it can be nothing at all. And you're going to need to decide, after everything's done, whether it's best, if the mayor is convicted of one or more of those charges. You don't need all of them, you really only need one of them. But if the mayor is convicted of one or more of those charges, you're gonna have to make the decision, what's best for the city, what do we do now? And do we remove the mayor, or do we reprimand him, or do we just let it go? After that vote is the determination of the council as to whether the mayor should be removed. Let's just hypothesize that the council says, we think the mayor should be removed. At that point, that decision is final. But what you need to do after that is prepare a written summary of your determination. And you have to have findings of fact and conclusions of law that are going to support whatever your findings are. And that's part and parcel of the record. That's part and parcel of what the judge is going to look at if it goes to a judge. And it's very important that you do that. After the findings of fact and conclusions of law are filed, then if the mayor is removed, then he has 30 days after delivery of those to file his lawsuit. So the bill of impeachment is available to everybody, the substitute bill of impeachment, and I do not want to go into detail about the charges. The reason being is it always ends up in a premature discussion about who did what and when and was it bad or good or whatever. And at this point, all we have are charges. That kind of discussion occurs at the hearing and will occur at the hearing. So I'd ask your forbearance on the discussion of the particulars of the bill of impeachment. Of course, I'm just the lawyer. If you have questions, then you're certainly entitled to ask them. I might deflect those questions, but I do not want to leave anybody with the idea that you can't ask the questions. So with that, the substitute resolution actually appoints Engelmeyer as the officer to preside over the hearing. We had an exhibit there where Tim put out his contract fees, and I just want to make sure that everybody is comfortable with that. I mean, technically, I think you've already appointed him and you've already approved the acceptance of that agreement. But I want to make sure that everybody's comfortable with that, make sure you all know that that's what you did. Because if you want to go backward, you need to let me know. And if everybody's comfortable with that, then at that point, Mr. Snow should go ahead and simply write accepted on that page and send it to Engelmeyer at his contact information. Accept it and sign it and say approved by the city council. We'll figure it out. And that's where we are. So everything is in place now. As I said before, if people have questions, I'm happy to address them.
I have a question, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Does that substitute resolution hiring Mr. Engelmeyer, does that take a vote of the city council?
Yes.
I haven't seen a vote.
The vote was on the substitute resolution. It included the appointment for Engelmeyer and the authority to enter into the
Thank you.
contract.
I have a question for you, Mr.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. My understanding was the vote that was taken was to put the resolution before the council, not
You know
to
what?
approve.
You were absolutely right, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. I apologize. I tend to get confused sometimes. The vote was to substitute the resolution, so now you have the substitute resolution. At this point, you haven't done anything yet as far as the resolution goes.
Okay.
And it's appropriate to go ahead and move for the adoption of substitute resolution 2042 and the substitute bill of impeachment. And of course, if people want to discuss that, or you have a question that you need answering, now's the time.
Yeah, I just have a question for you. In your experience with these matters in the past and putting this bill of impeachment together, do you feel that the items listed constitute moving forward with an impeachment, in your legal opinion?
Well,
And I ask that because,
Let me put it this way.
okay,
I wouldn't have prepared it if I didn't believe that that is a direction that you could legally take. I can't give you my opinion on this. My opinion doesn't matter. I'm here to prosecute it. All right?
sorry.
It'll be your decision.
I was asking legal opinion because I just personally not comfortable without a legal opinion on which direction to go at that point.
Well, as I said, I think the items that have been listed are actionable items, and if you find that they're true, then you could take the next step and vote to remove the mayor, if that is your desire. But that question is yours and not mine.
Thank you.
And so just, I don't know if it helps, Dustin, but you mentioned that, you know, you're not comfortable moving forward without a legal opinion. And so, I mean, basically what the vote is today is to move forward into having that hearing. And then at that hearing, we would hear both sides. We would hear multiple legal opinions. We would hear the legal opinion of Mr. Martin, who is prosecuting the case and telling you what he believes the law is from the prosecution standpoint. And then you would also hear a legal opinion from Mayor Rife's legal counsel rebutting that with a different point. So you'll actually hear multiple legal opinions.
And I greatly appreciate the information you shared about, regardless if it's proven, there's actually an additional vote as far as impeachment, reprimanding, or doing nothing.
It's completely up to you.
Yeah, so, and that makes me feel not at ease, but that information helps my decision at this point in time.
So I would like to move that we adopt resolution 2042,
Substitute resolution.
substitute resolution 2042.
And you might as well include in the motion, including the substitute bill of impeachment.
Oh, and actually, I apologize, just very briefly, because Mr. Taylor did mention Mr. Engelmeyer, and we haven't actually discussed that as a council. So, I mean, I'm comfortable with his resume, but you are more familiar with him if any of the council have questions, I suppose. So at this point, I do renew my resolution to adopt substitute resolution, or renew my motion to adopt substitute resolution 2042. And the bill of impeachment?
And the substitute bill of impeachment.
And the substitute bill of impeachment.
Second. Got a motion and a second to adopt substitute resolution 2042, including the bill of impeachment and the hiring of Mr. Engelmeyer. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, at this point, the mayor has been raised to a point of order. He's invoking his right to veto this resolution under section 417 of the city charter. That veto is binding until overridden by the council.
So
So it's been vetoed.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that then there needs to be, if the council wishes to override it, there needs to be a meeting at which the council would vote to override or not override the
I'll
veto.
let your attorney tell you all about it.
Okay. Okay. So, Mr. Martin.
I'm sorry, what section?
417.
I don't have 417. I only have 413.
I don't know about that.
No, this is in the city charter.
It's 4.7. It's 4.7. The mayor shall also.
Oh,
have the
sorry,
power-
first 4 point, my mistake.
I'm quite all right.
Yeah, my apologies.
The mayor shall
Can we
also have
correct
the-
the record, 4.7?
Right. I'll just read it for everybody. The mayor shall also have the power to veto any resolution or order of the council which calls for or contemplates the expenditure of the revenues of the city. Such veto shall be noted on the journal of the council and shall be effective and binding unless the council, at a subsequent session thereof, general or special, shall pass a resolution or order by a vote of 3/4 of all the members elected to the council. So I think my application to 4.7, the observation seems to be correct.
I'm wondering, and I would need a moment to take a look, but I don't think that the mayor is allowed to rule on something in which he has a personal interest.
Well, that's a good question, and that gets into,
The charter says what it says, and it's applicable, as the case may be.
But-
So if you'd like to go to a court and challenge that, that's fine.
Well, I'd just like to take a moment here to look through the ordinances because I'm fairly certain that the ordinances.
Don't matter, this is a charter.
Right, so this is a charter matter, but if it is further developed by the ordinances and the ordinances do not conflict with the charter, I believe that the mayor does not have a right to veto it. Now, again, I'll
What you
defer to our
believe is-
legal counsel
well, let's
on that.
look at it a different way. The inclusion of the Engelmeyer contract clearly contemplates the expenditure of city funds. 4.7 addresses that exactly, and it is the charter, so it does apply. So a workaround,
The entire ordinance contemplates the expenditure of city funds.
oh, I would disagree with that.
Well, again, we could disagree about that, but as it stands, the resolution has been vetoed.
Well, and again, Mr. Snow, since you're conducting this, may we have a moment to look and see what the city ordinances say?
Yes.
If you tell me what you're looking for, I'd be happy to help.
I appreciate that offer, thank you.
All right, first, I'd ask council, on behalf of the mayor, whether you really want to go there, because chapter 105 makes it a crime to take action on something in which you have personal interest, and clearly that is what the mayor has here. Not a concern for you. Okay. Then, I think what the council should do is to have a motion and a vote excluding Mr. Engelmeyer's contract from the resolution.
Okay, and so I apologize, I may have misunderstood then the veto. So the veto is only for the hiring of Mr. Engelmeyer then, not for the resolution in full? Okay.
Yes.
So then I would like to motion that we exclude the hiring of Mr. Engelmeyer at this time as the hearing officer.
I'm getting the idea that that veto was not for that. I just don't want to waste time. Is that accurate, sir?
The entire resolution was vetoed by the mayor.
If you don't want to go in that direction, then the only other option is to have another meeting. I know you guys have been having a lot of meetings, but have another meeting and go ahead and have a vote to overrule the mayor's veto. And the reason for that, frankly, is that this does open up a can of worms, to say the least, about the council's authority and about the propriety of the mayor's actions through his attorney. And to digest those and figure out what to do next is problematic, especially if we get in front of a court, which is why I recommended taking the suspension out anyway. So, what's the council's pleasure?
So if I understand please correct me if I'm wrong, but if I understand what you're saying is that if we don't challenge it now, then we can call yet another special meeting to consider whether or not to override the veto. And then if the council so decides to override the veto, then they have to have yet another special meeting to reconsider the resolution and put that back on. Is that right? Does it require 2 additional meetings?
No, just one.
Just one.
Just one? Okay.
The resolution will stand reconsidered at the next meeting.
And so at that time, if the veto is overridden and the resolution then is reconsidered and passed, at that time, they can consider the hiring of Mr. Engelmeyer and a date for the hearing. Is that correct?
Well, we forgot to discuss a date for the hearing, but yes. And I think Engelmeyer is part of the resolution. So I don't think there's anything more that needs to be done.
Okay. And would I also be correct in understanding that if instead of waiting today and looking up and seeing if we could find the ordinance that I'm believing that I've seen, if it does turn out that the mayor is actually in violation and he has a conflict of interest under the ordinance, that would be added as an impeachable offense if the council so chose?
It's possible, yes.
Throw it on the pile.
All right. So at this time, since the motion has been vetoed, I suppose at this time we make a motion to have yet another special meeting, or that needs to be called separately outside of this meeting?
It
No,
can
you
be
can
called
do
in this
Do
meeting.
it in this meeting.
You can do it now if you're able to.
Okay. And since I'm going to defer to you, since you're the municipal attorney and you're much more knowledgeable in the sunshine law, I assume that the meeting needs to be called during a weekday that's a non-holiday. Would that be correct?
Could I get a clarification real quick, Paul? Are you acting as a municipal attorney or are you special prosecutor?
Well, I'm the city's lawyer for this purpose, but yes, I'm a special prosecutor.
Okay, but you're not acting on behalf of the city as a general attorney, or, I'm just trying to figure out. You understand why I'm asking?
I do not know where the line
Okay, fair enough.
begins or
You and I
ends.
can talk after, that's fine.
Well, and he was hired as special general counsel.
No, he wasn't.
Not the ordinance I read, but go
It's-
ahead.
I'll have to go back. That's what I remember reading in the minutes, so I apologize if my memory is incorrect. So, at this time, so if that's a question you can't answer, then I understand that.
As far as the sunshine law goes?
Yes.
Sunshine law requires that you have meetings at a time and place accessible to the public. That's it.
Okay.
And it would be tomorrow if you get something published quickly, I suppose, but that's not very likely.
And there, it also has to, doesn't the notice have to be 24 hours exclusive of weekends and holidays? Is that right?
I believe that is correct.
Okay.
I believe that is correct. So under that theory, then, yeah, you couldn't hold it during.
Without
this
exigent
weekend.
circumstances.
Okay. So at that point, I guess if I make a motion, then there's an opportunity for discussion, but I would like to make a motion that we have a special council meeting to consider overriding the mayor's veto of this item.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to discuss planning a special council meeting to override the mayor's veto. Any discussion?
So I guess now would be when the council would see when they are available. I mean, what is currently scheduled for Tuesday night? Are there meetings currently scheduled? for the
Monday
tu-
night is public safety, Tuesday night is public services.
And Wednesday, I believe, is a special budget meeting.
Wednesday is a special budget meeting.
Okay. And so I suppose if we tried to call it for Monday night, we concluded Miranda would be able to get it on the agenda for Monday evening, would it be possible to move the current meeting that's on the schedule for Monday?
The Public Safety Committee meets at 5:30, so it would be finished by, I would assume, 6 o'clock.
Okay. And so as long as we had this published by the time of the meeting, we could meet that 24-hour notice guideline then. So, I guess my proposal, it's not a motion, it's just a proposal at this time, since we're trying to settle on a date, would be to have this meeting to consider overriding the veto on Monday evening at 6:30. Does anyone have a conflict at that time?
I don't have a conflict, I have a question. Miranda, is there time to get an agenda out for that?
I mean, if the only thing on there is to, I guess, consider the mayor's veto, then Yeah, it would be the same as today, it would just have the few items and then I don't know what it would be.
So you're saying it's possible?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. That's my only question.
Is there anyone who has a time conflict with Monday evening at 6:30? So then I would like to make the motion that we have a special council meeting at 6:30 Monday evening to consider overriding the mayor's veto on this issue.
Second,
Have a motion and a second to call a special council meeting at 6:30 Monday, which will be May the 20th at 6:30 for consideration of overriding the mayor's veto. Any further discussion?
Will that require your presence, Mr. Martin?
Well, whether it does or not, I can't be here. No, I don't think it should. I'm sorry to be flippant. No, I don't think you need to.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
So, since that's the only item on the agenda, I would, I guess I should ask my fellow council members, does anyone else have any items of concerns or questions before I motion that we adjourn? I motion that we adjourn.
second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Oh, my God.